October 21, 2024. This is the S&P 500 E-futures mini on a 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. This is what the chart looked like today. It looked like it had a sell-off, a rally, another sell-off gradual, a couple of bounces, then two legs up, and maybe a final attempted rally, probably about to where the open was. So it's kind of a interesting, non-eventful day. This is how I drew it. It looked like there was a measured leg down and it exceeded it. Then there was actually a clean two legs up, and it made the measure move all the way at the end of the day. There's no economic data today to really move the markets, and the volume and volatility were very low. I didn't find very many setups, and most of them, or I guess half of them, I would consider almost trades. So I'm going to get into, I didn't take any trades because there's just nothing that really set up very nicely. Maybe this one trade was worthwhile taking, but I didn't take that trade. So in the pre-market, it looked like there was a two-legged sell-off and then a rally. Prices look like they started consolidating here. So it's a break this green up channel, one attempt up, second attempt. This could have been a trade if it wasn't so neutral. It's an inside bar, so that kind of has another thing going against it. So I didn't even mark it. I saw it and I thought if it only actually touched the EMA, which would have been perfect, and then closed a bit better than this thing. So here it looked like it was a failed breakout of this trading range, pushes up, and it comes along and it creates what I consider an almost trade. So it's a new low here. It's a first entry short, pull back, a second entry short, and move one tick above and then flush down, close the low. Now I thought this was also a failed breakout, and it's a break of this green up channel with a push up. That's the high with a strong engulfing trigger bar, and then it pushed down and closed at the low. So the thing I didn't like about it is the EMA is starting to get bullish and start moving up. So I wanted to wait for a lower high below the EMA if possible. Then prices started to move back into range. It didn't quite hit the other side and it started to move back up again. I found this potential channel going up. There's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. This isn't really a setup. It's not really a good signal bar, and it's pretty far from the EMA. So I didn't think there was anything worth marking here. Prices then continue moving up. Has a small little break and it starts flushing down. So initially I was tracing and tracking along this trend channel going down. It breaks, and I'm expecting a test of this low. Let me try to put this in a different color. Let's put this as, let's say, royal blue. Okay, it looks a little bit better. There's a first entry short, second entry short. Second entry short isn't a good signal bar, so no trade here. But I do expect a test of this blue down channel coming down. It kind of hovers, and it would have been a successful trade. Would have helped if this was a lower high, but it's too neutral because the lower high here, you'd think, okay, well, it's kind of confirming it's going to test this low. Also, lower high would have been nice because this orange down channel doesn't exist yet, but I'm expecting a test of this blue. And here there's just enough. Well, actually, I take it back. There isn't that much room. It's only about 3 ticks before you hit this localized bottom. So actually, even a lower high would feel kind of suspicious of this. So then continue moving down. Then I thought maybe it's moving down on this, I guess, dark peach looking down channel. There's a new low, first entry short, second entry short. I thought I really wanted this trade to work, but unfortunately it was an inside bar to this. It is doji. What I really need is one tick up, break above this guy, then flush down. But since it's an inside bar, it's a little ambiguous. It could be one attempt up, pull back, make a second attempt up after the break of this magenta peachish looking channel, hit the EMA and then flush down. So that was what I was worried about. But then it flushed down hard here. So I would say it was kind of like I really didn't know what to think of it, but I kind of thought like at the time maybe there's a short here, but not enough to justify a trade. Pushes down, it breaks out of this peach down channel and starts moving up. So this yellow down channel doesn't exist yet. So I have a first entry short, and then here it sets up for a second entry short. And I thought this is actually a possible trade. So it's a break of this green up channel, made one attempt up, push back, second attempt up, makes a double top. So I do like this double top projection. The EMA is starting to hold resistance. I mean, it didn't really have a test of it until about right here. So everything kind of dictates on what happens. Everything will be dictated on what happens on this next signal bar. And I did see a potential resistance. I didn't really think it was a range just yet, but I like the signal bar closed. So I thought it was a possible trade. It was a little bit more aggressive than I'd like. So here it didn't break below. So technically you don't have a second entry short yet. You have almost. So when I saw this, then I kind of abandoned the idea of taking a trade right now because it looks like it's stalling a little bit. Then here finally does flush down. So it does turn out to be a second entry short. If you did take this trade, it's only a 10 tick candle. So it's, well within the risk tolerance. And I was starting to think maybe there is some kind of trend channel coming down, this yellow one, but it's hard to trust yet because there's no real confirmation. There's only really one touch here, maybe two touches. So I'm looking for a lower high now. Here, you finally get the lower high. But the thing I didn't like about the lower high, so it's confirmed lower high here now. So it's first entry short, second entry short, lower high, prices may be coming down, but I also thought I was in a trading range now. EMA is starting to hold resistance. This yellow down channel may or may not actually be in play. The thing I didn't really like about this lower high, there's not really that much room to the lows of this potential down channel. It's a decent signal bar, excuse me, but there's barely enough room to scalp out also before this pre-market low. Technically, the pre-market low is here, but I thought there was actually some kind of zone of, well, I guess a 1 point zone of potential support here. So hard to say that this is going to be where it bounces or this is where it's going to be bounces, but probably anywhere in this little zone here. So that gave me pause. So I called it an almost trade. Then next candle, it just flushes down. So fortunately, I didn't take that trade, and I actually okay not taking that trade. The prices continue moving down. You don't really have any clean second entries. You have first entry short. You technically have a second entry short, but this is not a good signal bar. You have a confirmed second entry short here now, but the confirmed second entry short looks weak, but I'm not ready to call it a failed second entry short because if I do get a failure here, like the next candle, let's say this one ticked above, I'd still be reluctant because it's be the first break of this potential yellow down channel coming down. So it just feels a little dicey. You can't go long, you can't go short. Right, so then continue moving down. You can only get a first entry long here, pull back, second entry long here, but second entry long looks like it's still part of this green leg down, so nothing really enticing here. You get a higher low here, so say first entry long, pull back, second entry long, but I also saw just one big leg, and then a higher low here. Unfortunately, the higher low is below the EMA. EMA, up until this time, has shown that it's some kind of resistance here. So it's a little dicey. It is showing that this yellow down channel is starting to show weakness and prices are breaking above it. But this isn't a safe trade in my opinion, so I decided to just sit on my hands and wait. You do have a first entry short, second entry short, potential second entry short failure here, but it could also be within, I thought maybe there's kind of resistance here, some kind of resistance here, maybe support here. I'm not ready to take a first entry short, second entry short failure. I would rather take a higher low. So you do get a failure here, pushes up, looking for that higher low. You get the higher low here and it kind of keeps going up, but this higher low does feel far from the EMA, so kind of did market lifted low. Prices continue moving up. Break of this orange up channel breaks up, tests the high, comes back down. First entry long. And finally here, it looks like here I think I was going to get a second entry long. So I'm thinking, okay, there could be a second entry long here. Wait for the break above this candle. It doesn't show up. It also created one leg up, one leg down, pull back, second leg down. The measured move wasn't complete yet, so I was watching very carefully for a break above, but it didn't show up, so I'm waiting. Inside bar, nothing good. Pushes down. The measure move essentially is complete now. I mean, it is maybe one tick away, but I feel like, okay, EMA is starting to show support now. Decent signal bar. I call this kind of like a possible trade because the break of this orange up channel, break here, tested the high, one attempt up, pull back, potential second attempt, could be making a second leg. EMA is holding. I want to know what happens on the second signal bar here. Plus, this is a 9 point candle. Excuse me, not 9 tick candle. I was tempted to take this trade, but I hesitated. It opened, and I just kind of waited too long because I actually dropped my order right above here. After it opened, flushed, and it flew to the top. When it went to its highs, my scalp was already made, so I just thought, okay, it's stalling a little bit, so I canceled my order. Fortunately, I did cancel it in time, and it just flushed down, but I don't know. It was definitely a timing thing because you had to have entered this trade early. If you entered later, it probably would have filled you like it would have for me, and then probably stop me out because my stop was one tick below here. So this would have definitely stopped me out. I thought it was a possible trade, but it was something that you would have to have taken early on. So since I missed the boat and I decided to cancel, I think I actually saved myself, which is, and it kind of hovers in this trading range. So first entry short, you have a second entry short here, but it's not a good signal bar. Just kind of dwelling inside this range. It's very choppy, very noisy. It starts pushing up and out. I saw this green, potential green up channel. It's a break, test the high, and it keeps going, then it's coming back down. This yellow up channel doesn't exist yet. So I do have a first entry long. Technically, I have a second entry long here when it broke above this red signal bar, but this signal bar, I'm not thinking of going long yet. And finally, when this one confirms it, this isn't a very nice follow through because it closed at the low. This just looks very weak. Sellers are still coming in, and it pushes up. Technically, you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short. You do have a higher low here, but it's not a very clean setup. It pushes down, and this, I saw this setup, and I thought it was a possible trade, but I definitely considered it aggressive. It is a first entry long pullback, second entry long, but I also saw this as a second entry short. This seems a little bit incorrect. I think what I meant to say is failed second entry long. There's no second entry short there. Technically, you have a new low, first entry short, second entry short, third entry short, all the way down. If you start to recount here, it's a first entry short only. But I think I meant to say is a failed second entry long. So it's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. This failed second entry long, as I said, I thought it was a little bit aggressive. I like that the trigger bar, which is this guy, moved one tick above, flushed down and closed, engulfed this signal bar. The signal bar closed at the low. I didn't like that it moved back 3 ticks. So it flushed down. Buyers were able to bring it back 3 ticks. And that makes me a little dicey because my scalp is 4 ticks. So moving back 3 ticks is just, it felt a little risky. So I wanted a lower high confirmation, ideally below the EMA. You get a lower high here and it's confirmed here, but at this point, it feels like it's too late to try to enter this trade because this is the pre-market low. So no trade here. It's choppy. If you did take it, looks like you would have survived. Let's say you took it here. Your stop would probably be one tick above here. So you have to sit through this, sweat it out a bit, and then right around probably here, you would have gotten the scalp, if not over here. But that's a long time to wait because, as I said, price action was slow today. So you had to wait pretty much almost 34 minutes to see how this trade plays out. Prices then continue, it pushes up, it creates a second entry short here. So I thought this is a possible trade. So it's a new low, it's a first entry short, pullback, second entry short. Second entry short, I like that it pushed up and then closed strongly back down. The thing is, it is coming into the EMA, but the EMA is starting to level out, so it doesn't feel as relevant. So there is definitely a trade potential here because the EMA isn't reliable. It is a break of this orange up channel, one attempt up. It could be making a second attempt, so I wanted to see what would happen. So after this close, I think you may consider entering here, but this is a little bit doji-ish. But then this one would have flushed down and probably would have gotten the trade. Then pushes down, it kind of moves up. So this is I marked this, but it's definitely too late in the day as is this one because this is from 12:27 and this is 25 minutes later or 20 minutes later roughly. I Yeah, about 25 minutes later, and it's really late in the day. It did create a new low, first entry short, pullback, second entry short. I like this strong close. Had this actually not been, 8 minutes before the close, maybe there's a trade here, but I marked it that I didn't think it was, definitely not worth taking because it's only 8 minutes after a very slow, meandering, well, not meandering, but just a very slow, uneventful day. I wasn't going to try to force a trade at this point, but it looked like it would have worked. It kind of pushes into the close. So I kind of mentioned, or I kind of had a feeling that this week would be slow because the economic data, there's nothing really coming out till about, I think, Thursday. So the next 2 days could be a repeat of this. I suspect it's because the elections are coming up. A lot of people are just sitting on the sidelines waiting to see what would happen. Then probably volatility will pick up. Plus, as it gets closer to the end of October, people are probably going to try to close out their month by maybe moving some money around that it could hopefully pick up some volume. Plus the FOMC next rate decision is coming, I think, the second week of November. So that will have, I think, some traders at least create some more volume, more volatility. Other than that, it's been a very slow grinding, I think, past couple of weeks that having a no trade day, I think, is actually a success for me because I didn't get pulled into taking a pretty risky trade. The one trade I thought may have been this asterisk one, it looked like if I had entered late, it would have stopped me out. So this is a trade that you just had to be on top of things and trust the setup immediately. But yeah, it was a pretty uneventful day. If you skipped it, I think it would have been just as fine as if you, yeah, just took the day off and didn't trade this. So hopefully that was helpful.